Hi, I'm going to show you how to draw a body. Here's my credentials. Yeah, I know how to draw. Okay, we get it. Remember that everything I say to you is just an average. It's a guideline, not a commandment. While most people might fall between those averages, there are absolutely people who don't reach those averages. For example, the average person is 7.5 to 8 heads tall, but I recently found out I'm only 6 heads tall.
6 heads! 6 heads! She's only 6 heads tall!
Pushing your proportions and taking them to their extremes can actually lead you to some pretty interesting character designs. But we're not talking about that right now. We need to learn the rules before we try to break them. You can't puppet a meat suit without the bones. You have to have the bones! So, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna talk you through why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's one thing to follow a tutorial to a T, but actually understanding why I'm making these guidelines will give you the tools to practice without needing a tutorial. What do we do first? Any takers? Yes, you in the back.
The head!
Thank you.
I always start with head. I said the head, right?
Oh! What the heck?
Start with the head. You don't have to actually draw the entire head, just starting with a vague circular shape is good. Maybe add some lines to indicate the direction the chin is facing, and a little guide for the eyes. If you want a tutorial on how to draw the face, oh my god, guess what? I already did that. Wow. Go watch it. And all the other ones. And then come back. Alright, what's next?
The pen is in my fucking eye. How did you manage to hit the one part of me that's not made of bone?
Dude, shut up, we're recording.
It's the line of action!
That's right! Beautiful. Lovely audience today. Yes, your line of action. This is the direction of the overall energy in your pose. Generally, lines of action follow an S shape or a C shape. What do I mean by that? I mean literally draw a loose letter S or C and push your pose to follow those lines. Oh my god! Oh my god, I forgot!
What?
Was someone's birthday? Would you forget?
forget?
My
What did
meds?
you
What
forget?
Do I
happened?
need to call 911?
Reference photo!
Oh my god.
Find a reference photo you want to draw, or take a photo of yourself. Will you always need a reference photo every time you draw? No, but why torture yourself? We're still learning what a body looks like and how to translate a 3-dimensional object into a 2-dimensional drawing. You really don't need to sit here and think as hard as you can about what a body looks like when photos exist. I'm going to be drawing a more feminine body today because I love women, and this is the only royalty-free picture I could find when I looked up contrapposto. What's contrapposto? I'm so glad you asked because now I get to talk about it! Contrapposto is Italian for counterpoise. Basically, it's when a figure stands in a pose with their shoulders and hips at opposing angles. You see it most frequently in ancient Greco-Roman art, with a resurgence during the Renaissance when artists would look at ancient Greco-Roman art and said, "This shit is sick. Let's run that back." It's generally considered to be an aesthetically pleasing neutral pose, and it's important you know what it's called because once you know about it, you're going to be seeing it everywhere. If you prefer to draw a more masculine body, the only difference in what you'll be doing has to do with hips and shoulders. Feminine bodies tend to have wider hips, and masculine bodies tend to have broader shoulders. If you want to draw a more androgynous person, playing with those generalizations can give you a lot of cool body types. But for me, today, right now, I'm drawing a very feminine body type. Thank you, Vika Glitter, for this photo. Now, let me tell you a little secret. Tracing is fine. Tracing is fine, especially while you're learning. It gives you something concrete to learn from and is especially useful to train yourself in proper proportions. Just know that tracing is not going to take you all the way to a final drawing. It's a tool in your tool belt, not a cheat code to speedrunning a drawing. If you want to trace this figure, go for it, but you better sit your ass down and keep watching this video so we can break down what you're actually doing. Okay, we've got the head and the line of action. I like to start with the torso because it's the most central part of the body. Everything else is going to be branching off of the torso. I'm going to be drawing directly on top of my reference to show you how I'm finding these shapes. You don't have to do that, it's just for the sake of the tutorial, but if you want to, it's another great tool that can help you find proportions. Draw this square-ish box with a hole at the bottom for the rib cage. Watch my pen. Watch it! See how I go back and forth between my reference and my drawing? I'm measuring. This helps me keep my proportions accurate. So you do that too. I'm not going to go too in-depth for this tutorial since we have a lot of ground to cover, so I'm just going to need you to trust me and trust the process, okay? Pinky promise? Oh, sorry, I don't have pinkies. Tentacle promise? Oh, no, actually, I don't like that. Just promise me, okay? We've mapped out the chest, and now we're going to plot the pelvis. I like to use a triangular-shaped box to represent the pelvis. Remember that these are three-dimensional objects. We're not drawing flat shapes, we're drawing boxes. Very weird-shaped boxes, but still, boxes. Bodies are three-dimensional. They curve and twist, and it's important to keep that in mind to make your bodies feel real. For the legs, I'm going to use 2 circles to represent the hip joint and the knee joint, as well as a triangle to represent the foot. I'm going to draw a stick figure line, but this is not the final process of drawing a leg, okay? We still need to add the meat before we move on. I want you to stare at your leg real hard, okay? New artists have a tendency to draw balloon limbs. You might understand that these things have mass, but not how to properly apply it. Instead of 2 lines mirroring each other, I want you to stagger them. Shift around where the thickest part of the meat is. Don't forget the knee! These are not 2 cylinders pushed up against each other. There is a joint in there. For the front of the knee, I'm going to draw this triangle shape to represent it. The second leg is a little harder to draw since it's obscured by the first leg. But don't worry, my sweet little honeybee, you have me here, and I know how to draw through the figure. I also know what a leg looks like, which helps. I'm going to draw a guide for the angle of the leg, and I'm going to use the knee I already drew to guide where I'm putting the second knee. Notice how often I am bouncing back and forth between my reference and my drawing. This is how you properly utilize your reference. The reference is hard fact that informs what you're currently doing. That being said, don't do what I'm about to do because it's a little too advanced and this pose is bugging me. So I'm going to pull this back leg to the left a little bit to make my pose feel more balanced. The reason I tell you not to do this is because it requires adding angles of the body that are not represented in the reference. This is commonly called pushing the pose, where you literally push your pose around to make it more interesting. This is something you can do when you have a much stronger understanding of anatomy. But not right now. I don't know why I showed you that, actually. What the fuck? I'm going to place those circles down for the joints again, but this time for the arm. For the hand, I'm representing it with a thin box with boxes branching off for the fingers. If you want to know how to draw hands in depth, whoa, check it out. I already did that. So go watch that too. Just watch all my videos, honestly. Hey, if this art degree is good for anything, it's teaching other people how to do what I do for free. I'm going to drop her shoulder just a little bit to reinforce that contrapposto pose. I always feel like I'm saying that wrong. Posto. Contrapposto. Contrapposto. Endless possible at Olive Garden. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on how to draw arms, so for now, just remember your lines should rhyme, not match. No balloon arms. For the back arm, I'm going to use the existing elbow to measure where the next elbow should go. Luckily, they're pretty much at the same height for this pose. Measure the angles, add some boxes, and our base is pretty much done. I know what you're thinking. That was a lot of work just to get the guidelines down, but babes, we're listening. We're learning. We're loving the process, not the product. In order to get to a point where you can just slap down a body with good proportions, you need to not only practice, but practice with purpose. There is a correct way to practice. That's right, you can practice wrong. Practicing doesn't just mean drawing over and over again, it means pushing yourself. Drawing things that you're not comfortable with. Seeking out resources to help you in areas where you're struggling. It means making something ugly and trying again anyway. It means breaking down a reference and understanding not just how to draw, but why you're drawing the way you are. This is study. You are studying when you do this, and every time you study, you're adding a new book to the library of your brain. Here's your newest book. It's a book I already have, but I don't mind rereading it. This is study for me too. I know I glossed over a lot of things in this tutorial, but honestly, no one video is going to make you a good artist. Only you can do that. With patience and practice. Being good at something genuinely means doing it over and over and over again until one day you're looking at what you can do and think, oh shit, I made that? That feeling will take years to achieve, and I know it can be discouraging to hear how long it takes to get good at something, but the time will pass anyway. Why not put in some practice and surprise future you? Every time you practice, I want you to think of putting a grain of sand in a jar. It's so small, it's barely anything, right? Maybe you visit someone else's home and go, whoa, you have a whole beach here. Holy shit, I wish I had a beach. Girl, how else are you going to enjoy your own beach if you're not putting sand in the jar? I know it feels like nothing. It feels like you aren't even really making progress for a long time. But one day you're gonna walk by that jar and see that it's full. And you'll pour it out on the ground and see the tangible proof of your own progress. It's not quite a beach yet, but it's closer to one than you've ever been before. I don't have a beach either, but I'm working on getting one. Sure, my jar is fuller than yours, but I've been in this longer. You should subscribe so we can build a beach together. Actually, let me do this. I will share some of my sand with you if you promise to tell a friend about this channel. Tell them we're cool and funny and maybe a little unsettling sometimes, but mostly cool and funny, okay? Tentacle promise? Ew, no. I still hate the sound of that. All right, well, this is usually the part where I go home, but I can't afford rent anymore, so I'm actually gonna take this sand and dump it in a fish tank and just float around in there for the rest of the night. Don't tell the demon I live here now.